So recently we had what was a Jupiter retrograde transit, and that occurred on September 4th, 2023. Not another retrograde planet. I know, I know. But seriously, at this point, I'm just so numb to the retrograde transits. I don't know about you guys. And I say that with great fear, respect, and humility for the cosmos. I feel like the universe beat me into submission, and I'm too fearful to express my resentment for it. It's a really abusive relationship. It's fucked up. So Jupiter went retrograde right at the peak of Mercury retrograde, days after Uranus went retrograde, and during Neptune retrograde. So I should have said during Saturn retrograde, because Saturn is still in retrograde motion right now, and so is the North Node. So I get it. Okay, look, we all want to die. So just stick around. We need you here. Jupiter rules over sassy, slutty Sagittarius and pill-popping Pisces. So in short, this optimistic planet is notorious for overdoing things. Yes, it is known for its promotion, abundance, and a good time. But sometimes that's all it does. Of course, depending on the sign it's in, but anything that this planet comes into contact with gets fucking drunk. Whatever it touches is exaggerated, it's amplified. And Jupiter is currently transiting the sign of Taurus, one of my favorite signs, honestly, where issues of foreign currency, spiritual values, greed, overindulging in hedonistic activities and pleasures, and laziness manifest here in this physical realm. Because Jupiter is associated with anything foreign, spiritual, overindulging. Things get a little lazy here and reckless. People are reckless, irresponsible. So a lot of wealth is associated with this transit, a lot of generated revenue, comforts. But when Jupiter, an already indulgent sign, is in the sign of comfort and stability, we can become very stagnant, too comfortable, not challenging our ways of being or thinking to our own detriment. We can be quite stubborn. We can be a little snobby. We can exaggerate our sense of self-worth or importance. Would you like some more tea, Mrs. Nesbitt? This could be an era in which a lot of narcissists are born, as we didn't already have an epidemic of narcissism in our society, especially here in America. As our world becomes more entitled of these luxuries that we take for granted, we start nurturing lazy, spoiled squanderers. Examples of these things are national security. The ability to just apply for and get a job like we're at a candy store and just leave when any of our physical senses are challenged. It's too chilly in here. I can't work Saturday or Sunday or holidays or any days when the sun is like out and there's not enough clouds. Honestly, I get it. Like I would not, if I could, I would love to work when the sun is covered by clouds and I'm not like, the sun is not melting my corneas off. I would love that. I hate having to walk into freezers. I don't like working in hot kitchens. These are physical sensations that we have to challenge. But there's a fine line between, working in a just unbearable environment versus, being just really lazy. Maybe your physical senses are challenged beyond their threshold. I mean, I get it. But if you have to pay the bills, you got to do what you got to do. Okay. So being lazy, being stagnant, not attractive, not cute. Challenge yourself. With its retrograde motion, things lose even more inertia. And this transit will highlight where we have been doing too much. And by doing too much, I don't mean effort or labor. I am talking about where we have been overshooting, overspending, overgiving, and promising way more than we can deliver. When the sign of overshooting is in the sign that rules finances, music, security, and relationships, we can end up in a compromising and even embarrassing situation. So the house that Jupiter resides in your natal chart and the house that it is currently transiting in your chart will give explicit depiction of how this transit will play out. Now, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you know you cannot make a commute to a job, if you know you're not ready for a relationship, don't do it. Don't accept the job. Don't jump into a relationship. Right now is the time to temper your expectations and be realistic. While the desire to gamble and live large is tempting, pay attention to transits when doing so, okay? Venus, and I'm telling you right now, you don't want to gamble, okay? I used to be a gambler. I'm a gambler at heart. Don't do it. Venus has just barely gone in direct motion, so it's not a good time to make large purchases or relationship decisions or gamble just yet. Jupiter also rules casinos, places of worship, and spirituality. In recent Chicago news, the Bally's Casino opening is delayed, and I believe it's expected to host their temporary casino joint at Medina Temple. It's a mosque. Well, it's not a mosque. It's a building with a mosque aesthetic, but it isn't actually a mosque, which is triggering conversations about Orientalism resulting from its misrepresentation. I am not particular. I'm not particularly religious. I feel weird saying that. I am not particularly religious, but the whole vibe seems very sacrilegious and disrespectful to those that are. Notice how churches and casinos have two things in common, by the way. They're huge sources of revenue where people flock to with the motive to attain abundance and prosperity. It's pitching in and tuning into something higher than yourselves. You know, you're putting in your casino chips, you're putting in your prayers, you're putting in your tithes, and you're expecting your prosperity to multiply and get a return on your investment. I don't care what any churchgoer says. When you go to that church and you're putting in the tithes, you're like, God, you better like do something with that money. I mean, depending on how much you're putting in. So Jupiter is known to rule over blessings for these reasons. So yeah, so that's all for now for this Jupiter retrograde transit. And I hope everyone will trim excess during this transit and are planning thoroughly to combat our enthusiasm. If you want to read more about this, I've linked an article about Jupiter retrograde in the description. So that's all for now. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure to hit that like button for me, comment, and subscribe for more practical astrology. Sex work is so